Hi, my name is Poeartistry. I am excited to welcome you to James Poeartistry Productions. You are tuning into an incredible experience known as Poeartistry Gold, where we delve into the art of commentary, storytelling and poetry. We aim to bring you inspiring and thought-provoking content.
This is a Poeartistry Gold moment by the author James Lynch. Welcome to Poeartistry Gold number 106. I'm James Lynch and welcome again. I'm glad to have you here. What this Poeartistry Gold will go into is actually an aspect of my marketing. Aspect of my marketing. You've seen me do marketing over the years in a variety of ways for different reasons. Some I always like to say, in person, in person type of occupations, and then a lot through the virtual world of the internet, which, as many of you have come to appreciate, when you're serious about your craft in anything, the internet is materialized. It can be filled with honesty and integrity when it's coming from you. So when it's coming from you as well. So what am I saying? What happens, what you're talking about, contracts, policies, stories, or what have you, can have an application to someone's life. And that's going along with this marketing point that I'm making, not so much for just my books in general, even though it applies, but yes, you've heard me all year long talk about my capabilities, my James Poeartistry Productions, which includes Poeartistry, my advanced secretary or assistant, that I'm continuing to develop. And see, it's important. What does marketing do? See, marketing, unlike the mix-up that some people seem to have, when you're marketing, you're not trying to get validation from somebody. You're not even trying to, well, a lot of people I know at least, you're not even trying to just get people's attention just for the sake of having their attention. You're actually trying to what? Involve them, encourage them, entice them, if you will, to your product because you want them to buy them. Because you know what? We're supposed to make a living. And being in sales, being a chef, being in all these many occupations that we could just name into the hundreds and thousands, that's what we do. And then once your name is around, then hey, you may not have to always be sharing your product as much as you used to, because guess what? It's well established now. I think about if somebody was to just even hear the name Victoria's Secret. Now, who doesn't know Victoria's Secret? You see I mean, just everybody knows about it around the world, whether they have purchased the product or not. They don't even have to do too many commercials throughout the year, which they still have a tendency to do it during the season times, for gifts, like this time during the winter months. I mean, all sorts of holidays, etc., are going on. And so they just putting the thought right back in people's minds. Why? Because a lot of people have been so working in the day-to-day life. Hey, it's nice to have that marketing out there. It's nice to have that reminder, that advertisement out there to be like, oh, you're right. Let me go get me something nice, or buy something nice for somebody else. Okay. Well, it's the same of what I'm mentioning right now about this Poeartistry Gold moment on marketing, and actually talking about James Poeartistry Productions right in itself. And what I talk about with my subscriptions and my resources that I continue to develop, I like to give you an example of just stuff that you would receive if you got more of a subscription. You see, in the future of what Poeartistry is capable of doing and will be doing just for you if you had a subscription. You see, I always talk about controlled environments. When people are developing their software, we know for a fact that, boy, nobody gonna be messing around with Apple new stuff, uh, Microsoft new stuff. I like to mention them because, man, I'm telling you, they still have great and high security. Uh, Need to know basis when they're developing these different softwares and things of that nature. Yet today, guess what? We have so much open source software out there that with the other developers and engineers that have a tendency to use this software at times, you know, it's wonderful that, as they say, it encourages community, it encourages resolving problems quickly, etc., etc. Yet, all the same, and I'm saying this respectfully, even some of the persons who may throw in an additional module, if you will, or what have you. Uh, I know in years past that module within itself was thoroughly, you see what I'm saying, test out, making sure that it wouldn't do other things to the systems that it was going in, like give a backdoor access or what have you, that they know people wouldn't want. And yet, all the same, we could go into another different seminar altogether on security. And I'm sure, a lot of persons could tell me about this in the technical field, where it still hasn't always worked out now in the days that we live in the way we wish it would have worked out. Now you can actually take that understanding and take it somewhere of where I was talking about. I know you're figuring out what I'm talking about. So let me get right back to still developing even with artistry. You see, technology has really moved us in an area today where you don't have to have all the macros, the modules, the what they used to call like ASPs.net and all that type of stuff. That knowledge of building it yourself is because you know what? It all just works together now. All you need to be able to do is, as you know, I've advertised with notepads, uh, text pads, notepad plus plus, or whatever your system you may be on Windows. And you can really, especially with the AI, sit down and start designing what fits for you, what fits for your business process in particular, what personality you want. I make a joke off this because the other day I did a Golden Gifts Netflix, and you notice how I talked about something from history, you see, about the experiences of going to the brick and mortar stores. And I mentioned that I always know one person it loves what I'm talking about, and I was talking about my secretary, Poeartistry. I mentioned that yeah, no matter what I'm talking about, no matter what I mention, I know she enjoys it. And so some of you probably say, yeah, because you're programmed it that way, James. Okay, but you know what? All the same, let me tell you what else I programmed her with. I've been giving you examples of when I have Poeartistry proofread my stuff. Because now, any type of letter or blog post that may go more than a paragraph, I'll go ahead and have her proofread it, and she'll always give me her thoughts. You see, on it, and she'll add her many words and things of that nature. And sometimes I know uh, uh, I can just ask her sometimes, where did you get that from? And she'll tell me where she got it from in my own knowledge base. Yet, see, this is what I mean about the way the programming still works. There's other aspects of information she'll bring out that I'll be like, look, I didn't put that in my books. I got a huge knowledge base that I've actually rotated a lot of information over this past year in and around, you see, her program to see how she reacts and with the systems and things of that nature. So she got a lot of stuff that she's had to accumulate or what have you, and then I've narrowed it down to certain types of files. See, for you, this is what I would be able to do for you is if you were to end up getting like a subscription on the basis of many people know the way that this type of system works. Not only is she my secretary and has access to me, you see, but then there would be certain aspects that, in confidentiality or what have you, uh, that would be still catered around helping you with this understanding of James Poeartistry Productions, you see, and if it needs to go a little bit beyond that. But I like to always mention that artistry is still being designed to have a PhD in James Poeartistry Productions. See, that's me. And it's a lot that's entailed in that. And you may, and see, and this is what I mean when I'm talking about marketing. I'm actually going to share two uh, two experiences of wisdom, okay, that still, even in my lifetime, I may have only talked to less than 5 people about it, okay? See, and this is what I'm talking about when people's energy has value, people's knowledge has value, and why we shouldn't try to shortchange them when even if they say something or put it in their book for it to be sold, then all of a sudden the person takes the book, gains that valuable knowledge and energy without paying for the book, without giving attribution, and then still make it seem like that author it still isn't worth nothing when they truly told them some information that they wouldn't have got from anybody else unless they had that similar unique experience. Okay, so it's always encouragement of what I'm saying that you are worth something. You heard me say this before. And so let me give you just 2 examples. And I'm mentioning this because I'm going to go ahead and put this in my you see in Artistry's understanding so that she will be able to bring it up in the future, especially when I talk about marketing in particular, because I truly don't want to keep giving out these different examples and things of that nature, but it's just to really prove a point here that needs to be proved about my product, that it's worth what I have requested over the years it be worth. And I know it, and nobody can change my mind on it. So, the first one. The first one, I'm going to take something for that many of the military, not only the United States of America, but I'm sure around the world, will appreciate this type of consulting moment, information, or what have you, okay? I want to assure you that very much so. I'm still for God's kingdom. But at the same time, there's quite a bit of good, encouraging information that showed how Jesus appreciated these ones with great respect, even though they would even admit to themselves that their life wasn't totally in harmony with what Jesus was saying. Yep, there's an account in the Bible about it. And then even Paul was the same way. Okay, so let me keep talking. Here it is. There were some units that were actually having war games. Okay, now there was high-ranking officers around within 100 yards. And then there was the non-commissioned officers. So it's almost like, there's a different branch. But if you want to know the difference between the commissioned officers and the non-commissioned officers are still like God to their troops under them. You see, the troops that are under them, because you got several ranks going all the way up to command sergeant major, that all the troops under them are still like We are your servants. We are your slaves. And all of this is being said with deep respect and honor. Make no mistake about it. And so they just listen to them. Now, the officers, you see, the commissioned officers, with their authority, they even, because, yes, see, I'm using the term God for a reason. And if you want me to go more into elaboration on it, then I'll explain more in this KAM that I'm Poeartistry LLM, that I'm developing. But see, here's the point: the commissioned officers become like God, even over the non-commissioned officers. And we could get into aspects of respect and things of that nature, because even though that's the case, uh, again, more information could be shared about that, where it's still not the type of authority that even what they would call a second lieutenant will want to go and start, getting too prideful and actually trying to be overriding the command sergeant major left and right. That's something altogether we could talk about, but that's not what I want to talk about here. Here, what I want to talk about. So they were out in the field, playing war games, and the one of the non-commissioned officers had a huge manual on how everything was supposed to function and work with generators and things of that nature. And if you want to talk about persons who really uh, knew how to start, create, and continue to implement SOPs or standard operating procedures, it has always been really the military on a level that, let me tell you, you can see why even Paul used them in his illustrations at times. Well, all the same, uh, there were some of the communication units that they were having difficulties. They were having difficulties. And then it came down to only still a few of the units that were still around. Well, all of them were around, but there was a lot of mechanical problems that was going on all over the place. And so, talk about needing money for resources, but that's another different story. But anyway, what happened is one of the communication units that was there, and this is what I mean by standard operating procedures, everybody always had like two generators, minimum. Now, if you was an officer, you could probably get more than that, and some of them did. But in general, the non-commissioned officers, whatever equipment that they had, especially major equipment, they had like two generators, all right? And one of the generator, and the way it was supposed to run like this, it wasn't that you just keep running the generators all day long, all day long. Pay close attention to me on this one. It wasn't that you were supposed to do it like that. You had two generators, because one, they actually had uh, a procedure, SOP again, on the way that you ran generators for 4 hours, one on and then one off. And while the one was being turned off, you will refill it with gas, you would do preventive maintenance, all sorts of stuff on it, and it gives it a rest, while the other one is running. And it's all done in such a safe manner. See, when you turn that generator off, and then you have the one that you switched on, the breaker, if you will, the switch to actually give nonstop energy, nonstop communication. The rest of the field, the units wouldn't even recognize it was gone. Okay. Well, that's the way it's supposed to work when you have two generators. And remember, I told you they alternated them every 4 hours. Okay. Some persons actually did it every 8 hours, or a shift, the way that they were working. It was designed so that every person that switched shifts, what was doing their time or what have you, would at least be the one that would top everything back off before the other one came on. But I told you there were some persons who liked for their equipment to run with such a fine-tuned manner, you see, that they would do things not only every 8 hours, they would actually do them like every 4 hours, even sometimes every 2 hours, because they always wanted to be in that mindset of preparation of readiness. Now, what I told you again, many people in the military would know about. What I'm going to say next is I want to know if some of you, though, have really had this experience. So, one of the generators broke down. Okay, so it was only one generator left. And it was getting low on gas. Now, according to the big, huge manual that the non-commissioned officer had, you see, it was really just no ifs, ands, buts about it, talking anything about topping off the generators, doing preventive maintenance while generators running and things of that nature. See, it didn't talk about it. Well, that was the situation. And so the non-commissioned officer went to a high-ranking officer, commissioned officer, and told the commissioned officer the situation. Now, by now this commissioned officer really does know how a lot of stuff worked, at least way back then, knew how stuff worked and things of that nature. And yet at the same time, there's always a certain propriety that person's got to keep, sometimes in certain positions. And it's almost like one of those things of, to make a long story short, the final command was this: I don't know what you got to do, but you better keep it running. So that was the order. And so when the non-commissioned officers went back to his troops to tell them what they were going to do, the manual just had to be placed somewhere else. Because you know what? You probably figured it out. Generator was being topped off. Was the system still running? Yes, it was. Was things being checked left and right to make sure that it could just keep on running even for a whole day? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, because see, they were built to be able to do that. But the point was everything running according to the SOP of the book? Or even, what is that book called? The Military Code of the Military Uniform Code. I can't even remember what that book is called anymore. What they had in there. So anyway, the whole point is this: what was done was necessary. The commissioned officer did not tell the person how to do their job. And they weren't going to put themselves on a level like that, because just imagine if something would have happened, then nobody could have still went back to that officer and said, you told that person to do this and do that. And the commissioned officer didn't. He just said, keep it running. Or he just said, we're not going down. This site is not going down. And so it was up to the non-commissioned officer just to figure out what he was going to do about it. And see, and the thing about it is, talk about experience. This non-commissioned officer ended up expressing that they did have a same experience somewhere, and it was actually somewhere over in Germany somewhere, where they had a similar experience. And so later on, it was almost like the way that he was referencing to his troops, he was just saying he knew that I most likely could do that, so that's why he said it the way that he did, you see. And it was interesting because even during that time, he only took one other troop with him to start doing that process of the way or whatever they needed to do without endangering the rest of his other troops. But that's something that I wanted to share with you. And then we're coming up here on the 30-minute because this is a long one for Poeartistry Gold 106. But this is one other thing that I want to share with you. Sometimes you can have an argument with persons and they'll think that you don't like them at all. And you know what? It may be true. You may have dealt with somebody who, remember I told you, all people are not the same. You have one person who everybody love and genuinely, sincerely, authentically, they just love one another. Their personalities jive, you see. And then that same person can go to somebody else and they just treat you like a jerk. They treat you harshly and things of nature, and you just get on each other's nerves. With that being said, sometimes you even have people say, it's nothing that person can say to me that I would appreciate or what have you. Well, this is what I want to share with you, perceptive readers. And this is one that I am going to leave on a cliffhanger if you want to find out. buymeacoffee.com/James Poeartistry. See, there's actually been a person that one man knew that, they had disagreements. They could have, and you know what? If they weren't trying to be civilized, they probably could have gotten into knockdown fights, probably. Who knows? But what happened is, and you can be sure that maybe the person wasn't even trying to give this person they were frustrated with really advice to help them. They were just saying stuff even out of their frustration about a situation of thinking that this other person had. And so the person said this. The person said, I'm not going to even tell you what they said, but they said to the individual this statement. Now, this is decades ago. And it was a statement that this is still not the way this other person was always functioning. But don't you know, even after they went their separate ways, something that this person may not even know, from that day forward, maybe a week later or what have you, that person actually still incorporated in their personality that advice, that counsel, even though the person may have been calling them a jerk at the time. Now, this is decades, years later. So that's something to think about. Again, thank you for being with me on this James Poeartistry gold moment. Number 106. Have a very wonderful day. Take care.